Hi, I'm Greg, and welcome to Greg's Do-It-Yourself Tech Channel. Today, we're going to talk about hacking and phishing and how to avoid it. As always, if you like our videos, please like, subscribe, and share so we can get the word out and we can produce lots more videos for you. First one we're going to talk about today is hacking. Wikipedia defines hacking, specifically security hacking, as a security hacker or security researcher is someone who explores methods for breaching defenses and exploiting weakness in a computer system or network. Hackers may be motivated by a multitude of reasons such as profit, protest, information gathering, challenge, recreation, or to evaluate a system weakness to assist in formulating defenses against potential hackers. Hacking is typically what everybody claims that happened to them. They got hacked. They believe that that's, again, what had happened to their equipment. So hacking is a term that is used all the time for every excuse. Something bad happens, you got hacked. Now, the reality is most people are not going to get hacked. Unless you're a celebrity, a major company, or even a country's military or something else, you're probably not going to get directly hacked. What happens, though, is they do go after companies. For example, many years ago, Target got hacked, and they got hacked pretty badly. And what actually happens is they steal a bunch of customers' information. A good example of this here, I brought up a spreadsheet I created. Basically, they're looking for stuff like your name, your password, your email address, your phone number. In the case of Target, they even were getting debit card PIN numbers. It might be your credit card numbers. It's all sorts of information stolen. And they create a big database with millions of records that they steal from a company like that. What do they do with that information? They'll actually go out and they're going to try your information on many different sites to see if it works. They're going to go to Apple or PayPal, or they'll go to all the major banks and credit card companies. They're going to hope that that information that they just stole from that hack attempt will get them into somebody's account. So, again, they're not hacking you. They're stealing your information by hacking a big company. Then they're going to take your information and really quickly they're going to try to use it to go somewhere else. The reason they're going to do it quickly is because they recognize as soon as the information gets out that this website was compromised, there's going to be information in the media, there's going to be all sorts of changes, and in theory, people are going to change their passwords. So they have a very limited window to try to do this. Now, the two things you could say is what are the best ways to defend yourself against this? Well, different passwords for every site. You've heard me say it. You've heard probably your own IT guys or other people tell you different website for each site. Because again, as I explained to you, someone's going to sit there and try your password and your email address on all the major banking websites, credit card website, PayPal, all these different ones. So if you just happen to have the same password everywhere, they're going to go for it and probably be successful. If your password's different or even slightly different on each website, they probably aren't going to spend the time looking to see, it's a little bit of a variant. Because what they're doing is, this is how they make their income. So what they're going to do is they're going to take your password, try it everywhere, and if it doesn't succeed, they're moving on. And they're doing this really, really quickly. So even slight variations of your password for each different website makes it that much safer. The second thing is two-step authentication. A lot of sites now are starting to force this, and it annoys people, but it really does help. There's a couple different ways they do that. One is, every time you sign in, not only do you require your password, they might send you a text message or an email. Another way is they have a special app, like Google and Microsoft, the two companies that have things called authenticator apps, that every minute it'll generate a new code, and you have to punch that code in after your password. They'll request this other code, and without that code, you're not getting anywhere. So all these extra steps help protect you if your password was compromised in this manner. Okay, on to the other big subject, and this is one that happens way more often to individuals than hacking. Like I said, unless you're somebody famous or a major company or a major country, you're probably not getting directly hacked. The one that happens often is the one we call phishing. Again, not spelled like regular phishing, but phishing spelled with a PH. So, again, using Wikipedia as a quoting source here, Wikipedia defines phishing as a form of social engineering and a scam where hackers deceive people into revealing sensitive information or installing malware such as viruses, worms, adware, or ransomware. Phishing attacks have become increasingly sophisticated and often transparently mirror the site being targeted, allowing a hacker to observe everything while the victim navigates the site and traverses any additional security boundaries with the victim. As of 2020, it is the most common type of cybercrime, with the FBI's Internet Crime Compliance Center reporting more incidences of phishing than any other type of cybercrime. Yeah, this one's the big one. And this is the one that people say are hacking when it's really not hacking. So the one we're going to talk about here, I should say, is phishing by email, or email phishing. Again, using Wikipedia as a source for an exact definition, Wikipedia says, email phishing. Phishing attacks often delivered via email, spam, attempt to trick individuals into giving away sensitive information or login credentials. Most attacks are bulk attacks that are not targeted. Instead, they are sent in bulk to a wide audience. The goal of the attacker can vary, with common targets including financial institutions, email and cloud productivity providers, and streaming services. The stolen information or access may be used to steal money, install malware, or sparfish with others within the target organization. Compromised streaming service accounts may be sold on the darknet market. This type of social engineering attack can involve sending fraudulent emails or messages that appear from trusted source such as bank or government agency. These messages typically redirect to a fake login page where a user are prompted to enter their credentials. Now, it's a lot to take in for words. Let's explain exactly what that means and what goes on with that. Basically, you receive an email requesting you to log into your account. You panic and you think, oh, this is real, and you click on it, and it takes you to a fake website that looks like the real website, and you give away your username and password. So nobody hacked you, nobody got sophisticated. They sent you an email. Now, in the case of celebrities, maybe they know that celebrity and they're targeting them. In your case, you got the email because they got a long list, like we showed you earlier, where they hacked some place like Target, and they got the whole list of emails that way or some other ways, and they're just sending it to you. It feels personal, but it's really just a bulk attack where basically they're sending the same thing out to a million people. The problem is you're tricked into giving your information away, and now they have access to your account. What are they going to do with that information? Well, they're going to probably do the same thing that the hackers do. They're going to take that now that they have your username and password, or your email username and password, and they're going to try it on all the other websites. Because again, if they can get into a financial website, they could transfer money out to themselves. Because again, at the end of the day, most of these people are doing it to make money by scamming you into giving away information that'll cost you money. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it, but because they're doing it and they're doing it so successfully, it's an actual career for them. So anytime we try to defeat them, we're costing them money. So the best way to teach somebody how to defend themselves is to understand what the internet means. Basically, what it means when you're clicking on these websites and clicking on these links. Most people kind of just follow what's in front of them. They don't have any idea what they're clicking on or what's going on or all that gobbledygook on the screen. And that's the danger. They're assuming everything's okay, and they're trusting something without really understanding what they're looking for. This particular part of this video, which I'm going to try to put a chapter marker on there for you, because I think Everybody should learn this. I've taught many classes to people on this very specific subject, which is understanding what you're looking at when you're surfing the web. And it'll help you know what you're looking at before you get tricked. So again, if you have family, friends, even older family or friends that you want to understand this, maybe this is a good way to explain it where they'll finally understand it, or maybe they've never even tried, and this will be hopefully what sinks into them so they can understand what they're looking at. So first, you all know links. You click on a link. It's a special type of text. Usually it's a different color, like blue or purple. Sometimes it's underlined, and you click on that and it goes somewhere else. So I didn't really feel like we needed a slide for that. But the information that you're seeing in that, and that's, by the way, called a hyperlink. The information is in a format called URL, which stands for Universal Resource Locator. Now, I'm going to show you up on the screen here an example I created. This is a little longer than it usually is, but I wanted you to see this is what a link might look like. https://www.google.com:80 / again this /is/a/test.html. Now it's pretty big lettering, so you should be able to see that up on your screen. But again, it's an example I created. I don't even know if it really would work, even if you tried it. But let's break down the different components of this URL, because that is a complete URL you're seeing on the screen in front of you. First is called the protocol. Now, most people won't deal with all the different types of protocols there are out there. The two you will most likely see and deal with are HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and HTTPS, which is Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. The difference between the two is the S is, again, more secure. That used to be used more for banks and medical and stuff like that, but now, to help make the web a little more secure, more and more websites are being required to switch over to that. Not so much something you need to worry about today. Just understand that HTTP and HTTPS are the two main ones you might see. Most of the websites you see moving forward will be HTTPS. Now, we jumped over the www for a second, but we will come back to that in a moment. The next part is the domain name. In this case, it's Google. That's the actual name. After the period, there's what they call the domain extension. Basically, let's go through this for a second. So again, you see where it shows that. So .com is the domain extension. It's been called a few different names. We'll show you the other names they call it. It's been also called a top-level domain or top-level domain extension. Again, people refer to this two different ways. The point is there's a couple different ones out there. Well, excuse me, I should say there's a bunch of different ones out there. But the most common ones you used to see were .com, .org, .net, .edu, and .gov. The two most people can get their hands on if you want to create your own name is .com and .net. And .org as well, I should say. Well, three of those. .edu, you have to prove that you're part of an education source, and .gov is dedicated to U.S. government, so unless the government allows it, you cannot have a name in that. So again, we talked about a second ago, you said google.com. Com is abbreviated for commercial, but it's Google and it's .com is the domain extension or top-level domain, whatever you want to call it. Now, there are plenty of other ones out there. For example, countries. If something is US, it could be .us. .de would be Germany. .fr is France. .uk is United Kingdom. So if there is a company in Germany, they might have the name of the company .de or .uk if it was in the United Kingdom. When you look out there, you'll see tons of these names. But nothing you need to really worry that much about yet. Okay, so basically I just want to show you what that last piece is. So let's keep moving forward here. After Google in here, I included something which was a colon followed by 80. If you see after the .com, .edu, .net, whatever you see, followed by a colon and a number, that number is what they call a port number. Now, websites and other services have a default port number. Web services might be port 80. It could also be port 443 for those who want to get technical with me. But usually it's, say, for example, port 80. If I was to not put anything in there for a port number, it will default to that service's port number automatically. Now, if I wanted to add a port number for some reason, like port 9000 or some random number, and set up a website that's actually on that number, I would have to have a colon 9000 after it to make that work. It's a little confusing. Try not to harp so much on the fact that port numbers exist or why they're there. Just understand that after the after the .com, if there's a colon, or after the .net or edu, whatever, if you see a colon and a number, that number is the port number. Don't really need to understand it so much, because again, the idea behind all this I'm talking to you about is to understand when you see a URL where you're actually going. Okay? After the port number, the next section is the path. The path always starts with that / there. So if you were to see google.com / this is a test, or in my case, colon 80 / this is a test, that first / indicates the path name. We're done naming the thing. Now we're moving on to the path to where the file is that we're going to launch. All that stuff in the path you can pretty much ignore because you don't need to see it. And some of those path names can be huge. I mean, absolutely huge, with a bunch of wacky characters and slash lines and da-da-da-da-da. You don't need to worry about that. It's really the first part of that URL is all that's going to tell you where you're going. Okay? Now we're going to go backwards a second, and I'm sorry if this gets confusing. You might want to rewind this a few times to get it. But we're going to jump back to the beginning where the www is. That www is actually the name of a service or a file server name or some type of service name if it's by itself. If we have more than one dot, it's not the service name, it is a subdomain. Now this is starting to get confusing, and I'm sorry if I'm doing that to you. But basically a subdomain is, you can have a name like google.com and a subdomain which is on the left, not the right. I didn't make up why they do this, but that subdomain could be something else. So you could have www.server1.google.com. Server 1's a subdomain, www is still the server name. And the reason I wanted to explain that, it sounds confusing. Let me just give you an example so you'll understand why I'm showing you this. I'm not here to confuse you, but I want to explain a good example of this. Okay? So let's look at this next one. And this is typically what phishing people like to do, or phishing hackers, fisher, I don't know, whatever you want to call them. If you look at this in front of you, you'll see HTTPS / www.google.yahoo.com / 80 / test.html. Now take a look at it for a second there. Are we going to google.com or are we going to yahoo.com? Well, the reality is we're going to yahoo.com. So let me, I'm just trying to see if I can get a pointer here. Here, let's see if we can do this. Laser pointer. So, looking over here, basically, when you're looking at a URL, you're seeing http : or https : / Now, what I do is I then jump all the way to the end here, and all I really care about is the last part. If there's a colon after it, the port number doesn't matter. I ignore that. But basically, I'm looking at the last part here. This is the actual domain name. So the trick here is I'm at yahoo.com, not Google. Google is a subdomain of Yahoo. It's a trick. And Yahoo wouldn't be using it as a trick, but if it's a phisher, they're using it as a trick so that they trick you into the name, and you'll believe it's where you were trying to go. And I'm going to give you some example emails of that in a minute. But again, all I really care about the most is this last part here. Okay? So, again, if we're looking, highlighted here, it's yahoo.com, not Google. They threw the name Google in there, and it's confusing because you see Google and Yahoo at the same thing, and they're competitive companies. But somebody might do that in a phishing attack to trick you, and I'll show you examples of that in a few moments. Okay, again, what do they do once they get all this information out of you? They're going to take your passwords that you gave them, and they know it's functional because they've tricked you into by an email. They tricked you into giving away that information. Now they have access to that one account for sure, and they believe you probably have the same username and password, and they can trick, you've given them that info. They're going to try it on some other sites and just see if it works as well. So again, same thing as before. There's a spreadsheet sitting there somewhere with all your information on it that they're going to copy and paste and throw it at websites. They'll probably have an automated procedure. They're probably not even thinking about it. They're not looking at your individual information. They're just throwing it out there and seeing what works. Okay? So, basically, how do you avoid this? And a big way to avoid it is if you know the real website, go there to verify your account. Or call them if you know the phone number. Now, let's show you some examples before we continue on this information here. Let me jump over to, let's do Outlook for starters here. And I'm going to kick in magnifier so you can see it better. And let's see here. See if we can get it to work right. There we go. So, let's start with this one here. See if we can get it to pop. Okay, here we go. So, we have an email here. See if we can get it to up. Let me just minimize a little bit. There it goes. Take it out of, there we go. Let's bring it in. Okay. I'm going to try to magnify it a little bit for you, but basically it is, let's see which one this one is. This is from Bank of America. So, first off, I don't like to turn on the photos because anytime you have a photo enabled in an email, it can send the company that sent you the email information that you actually accessed it. So I leave them off here. But basically, this would be an actual email saying that, from Bank of America. And it says here, we believe that there might be somebody, so some security problems with your account. Now, here's the funny thing about them. Equal opportunity housing lender down here. This is all correct information for Bank of America. But here's your link. Now, when you're checking this stuff out, just so you understand, the best thing to do to figure out what this is you can hover over the link, and it will show you what it is. Let me see if I can zoom that in a little bit here. So look at the info as I'm bringing it up here. It is www.bibracte.fr, so we know it's a company from France, has nothing to do with Bank of America at all. But for somebody who doesn't understand that, they're going to panic because everything else looks right, and they're going to click on that. So let's turn off the magnifier again, and let's shut this one down. Let's see here. See if we can get out of that. Okay. Let's grab another one. Let's see which one we got here. Which one's this one? This one is the PayPal one. Okay. And these are examples that customers have given me over the years out of concern about things. So let's zoom it in a little further again and bring it over here. Dear customer, we need your help resolving this issue with my account. Oh no. Here's a case number and everything. Sincerely, PayPal. But again, let's look at where it's going. Let's zoom it in. And this one, they didn't even bother to actually write a name. They're using what they call an IP address. So it's http:// the number. So when you see the numbers like that in a row, that's what they call an IP address. Now that's a little different thing, but the point is, I'm not seeing PayPal.com here. I know that's fake just by hovering over that. So let's go out and let's look at another one. So just for kicks, let's see if I can switch over to Apple Mail, because again, we work on PCs and Macs. I do a lot of work on both. So let's see if we can switch here, just to show you it works the same on that side. So again, we'll zoom in here. Let's see here. Here's one from Apple.com. Let's see if we can launch it. There we go. And again, if you had allowed all the pieces to kick in, you would see that it looks just like Apple's email. And it tells you to get back in your Apple account, you need to confirm some information. Hover right here. And let me see if I can show it right. There it goes. And you will see it is http://SIEUTHILAPPHUONG.net. Because again, right after the .net's next /. So that company.net is where you will go if you accidentally click on that Apple Mail. And let's get to the next one. Let's do this one next. Okay. So here's one from American Express. So what's interesting with this one, let's see if we can make it do its thing. We're going to zoom in. Let's see if these will do anything. It's not going to show me the info I want. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So this one, again, as we hover over the link, we're going to see https:// So again, it's not American Express, it's that one. Then the final one I want to show you here, let's go back out and look at the other one. And let's do it over here. Is this one here? Let's open it up. So again, this one comes from Network Solutions, which again is a company that basically it's called a registrar. They are the ones that help you register and maintain your domain names. They can do email for you. They can create websites, etc., etc. So I've doctored up these emails a little bit to be my information. They typically come from clients. So I edit them a little bit just so you can see my information instead of my client's information. Basically, again, they're warning you that my domain name is due for some money. This was obviously a few weeks ago. And let's zoom it out a little bit. And here's the Renew Now button. Let's bring it back up to the top. Okay, now here's the other interesting thing here. Let me see if I can make it work. This one's not going to do it. So one of the things, too, you should understand with phishing is that sometimes these other links, like this one, on the bottom here, actually can go to the real website. So they'll trick you into seeing this information, and you'll say, oh, it's okay, it's the right thing. I'll see if I can find one of those videos and one of those emails and show you in a second. But let's go to this one first. So again, this is Network Solutions, and it says click here to Renow. Now the reason I wanted to show you this one is this is why I showed you those subdomain stuff before, because watch this one. It's going to come up in a second. Let's zoom it in. http:// webmail.oxcs hyphen network solutions dot. Now, you would think that's network solutions, but again, you always look at the last part before the forward slash. The actual name of the site is tworksolute.com or tworksolut.com. That's the name of the company, but what you're seeing around it is information that looks legitimate for network solutions. Webmail.oxcs, I can tell you, is actually part of Network Solutions if it was at networksolutions.com. So if you're not careful, they'll trick you with this other information. Again, all I care about is that last little section there. It's not going to let me hold it there. But basically, the tworksolute.com, that's the real website you're going to. So that's why it's important to look at the whole thing. If you saw, like I said before, google.yahoo.com, you got to realize that's yahoo.com. Same here. Even though it says Network Solutions dot, it doesn't matter that it's Network Solutions dot. It's the final piece that matters. So everything before a forward slash, the first forward slash you'll see, not the slash at the beginning. So http:// blah, 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 blah. The next single forward slash by itself begins the path. Everything before that is the location you're going to. And again, right before it, whatever that last blah, 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 dot, blah, 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 that's it. So in this case, again, tworksolute.com is not Network Solutions. So again, by seeing that, it helps you understand you're being scammed by this email. Now, the danger by looking at these directly, and again, I've shown you in Mail, and I've shown you in I've shown you in Apple Mail, and I've shown you in Outlook that you can hover. The danger is if you click that, you are going to that site, and that can cause you some problems, especially on a PC. You might get a virus. So this is just to show you before you click where you're going. But you got to be careful, too, because you could be going to the wrong site. And while we're on the subject, let's just show you a little bit of that, because there's some danger in that as well. Let's bring up, for example, let me see if I can pull this up. I'm going to go back to full size. And let's go to, let me see here. Actually, you know what? Let's do this first. I apologize. So again, I just showed you a couple examples of emails and how you can hover on them. The problem is that can help show you that the email you got was fake and not to panic. But then what do? The reality is the best thing to do if you receive one of those emails is just ignore it and go to the source website. If you know, for example, let's say I showed you an example that it was American Express telling you that you owed money or there was a fraudulent charge. Go to AmericanExpress.com if you know it. Or if you have the phone number on the back of your credit card, for example, just call them. That is your safest bet, is just ignore the email and check with the source. If you're worried that there's a package that was supposed to be delivered from Amazon that you didn't even know you were supposed to get, but an email said that your package got stuck, call Amazon. Go to Amazon.com and just check, because we're always curious about these scary things. And sometimes it's easy because, hey, it's Chase Bank. Well, I don't have a Chase Bank account, so I know it's a scam. But if you did have a Chase Bank account, you get scared and you want to check it out. And that's where you get in trouble. So, again, the best thing you can do is, if you can avoid checking out that email, just go to the website or call them directly if you have the phone number for the company. Now, if you're not good at that stuff, you can try a search engine like Google, but here's the problem when it comes to stuff like that. Because another form of danger on computers is, for example, going to the wrong website to get a printer driver. And Google has become even though it's a great search engine, people can sponsor ads. So hackers making a lot of money might take out sponsorship with Google to get you to the wrong website. And I'm going to show you an example of that in a second here. So let's take, for example, let's look at, let's do Edge browser just for kicks. So again, if I look down here at the bottom of the screen, that's brother dot, or I should say brother-usa.com. Now this one's always bothered me because the real website for Brother is brother.com, not brother-usa. I don't really know what that particular one is, and I avoid it like the plague. But it is a good example of clicking the link, searching Google and not knowing if you're going to the right one. And I can tell you, if you looked up a specific print driver, you'll get 100 different requests on different drivers that aren't the right one. So you have to be very careful anymore with search engines. But the neat thing, again, I wanted to show you here is if you click on hover over a link. Now this is the same if you're using, instead of, I showed you before, Apple Mail, or I showed you Outlook. If you're not using those two, instead of hovering over the link where it showed up, where it popped up at the very bottom of the web browser you're using, let's say you're using Gmail, for example. If you highlight this, you will see at the bottom of your screen where that link's going to. So you can verify that that looks right to you or not looks right to you. The same way we just did before, except instead of a little window popping up right in front of you with the information, it shows at the bottom of the screen. Now, on Apple, let me back this out for a second. One of the catches is, see, we have that link too, but it's not turned on by default. See how as I hover here, you can see brother-usa.com instead of brother.com. So this helps you. I mean, again, here it's showing you this, but if this was let's say, again, you're in your Gmail account looking at webmail, this, as you hover over your links, can show you that on the bottom. Now, the trick is, on Apple, you have to turn on that feature, which is called a show status bar. Now, I have to do this on my other screen, so you can't quite see it. Let me see if I can get this right. Back to regular view. And let's see, minimize you. Let's see here. Here, let's bring this over here. Basically, on Safari, if you go over to your view menu, and I wish I could show you this. Maybe I'll find a way to do it on another screen later on. But basically, in Safari, if you were going over to your view menu, just check the box that says Show Status Bar, and that will enable that feature on your bottom of your screen. So basically, if I was to turn that on, I turn it off here. So we'll, where is it here? Hide status bar. Now, when I come back in here, you can see as I hover, nothing happens. Once I go in there and turn on view status bar, show status bar, excuse me, now you'll see on the bottom, bring it back in, and you'll see on the bottom of your screen the status bar showing you exactly what the link is. Unfortunately, nowadays it's harder to do that on cell phones, so I don't like playing games with those things on a cell phone. If you have a computer, it's better to do that. In the old days on Apple, you could actually touch that link without going there. There is a kind of a preview mode that's still there. I don't trust it. So the things that we're talking about here really should be done on a PC when it comes to questionable email. If you're not sure, go to your computer, and you can do it this way. But again, your best bet is always call the company instead. All right, so let's get a little further into this here. Because what if you don't know the company, right? So again, if you don't know the company, you You could try to look it up on Google, but you got to be careful. Because again, people pay search engines to sponsor tricks results. So how do you do things if you don't know how to do that? If you have a manual or a bill, look to see if it has the correct email or website listed and carefully type it into the address bar. So again, if it's brother.com, for example, www.brother.com, you can just type that in there. Look at your manual. Look at your bill. If you do have an Amex card, for example, they'll show you right on your monthly bill where to go. You can type that into those address bars on the top of your screen, whether it be Chrome, Edge, Safari, whatever your browser is. You can type that in there, the exact naming, www. whatever, and go there. And that's your safest bet if you need to check things out. But again, if there's a phone number, if you know how to go there, that is your best bet. Stop being curious and concerned, because your real company is going to tell you information. Another video we're going to do down the road, we're going to talk about those phone calls that come in, because that's another scary thing when somebody calls you and says you have a problem. But again, that's a separate matter. Your bill will have the correct phone number to call. And again, even if that email's got a phone number in it, don't trust it. You don't know that that's really them. Find a bill or find a way to find the right website. Don't trust that email. So I hope this helps you out, because again, it's a little bit of a complicated subject. It's a little scary. But that whole information about the URL is important, because it does help you learn to navigate. You can start to learn to look at sites and links and know exactly where they are, and I encourage you to do so. Go to Google, pull up some results, read the URLs, and learn what you're looking at, because the names can sometimes be tricky on purpose to try to trick you into something else. So once you can read that properly, like I can, I'll instantly say, you're trying to trick me with something. So that education will help you, your friends, your family go on the internet much safer than you have been, because you just click and assume everything's okay. Maybe you don't. But somebody you know does. I see it all the time. So again, I think this is great information to help you out. If you've liked this video, if it's helped you, or you know somebody you'd like it, basically that could help them as well, please like it, subscribe, and share that video with the people you care about that might need that little extra information. This can go a long way to help them. Again, especially this video in particular, because it helps teach them something about how to navigate the internet safely. Again, as always, if you have more questions, feel free to check out our website, which is Greg's DIY Tech, which is Greg's DIYTech.com. If you need to contact us, you can email us at info@gregsdiytech.com as well. As always, we hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned. We have plenty more to come. Again, plenty more subjects coming up. We have an intro video as well on the channel that'll tell you some of the things that are coming up as well. And the website will always talk about the next video before we release it as well. Thanks a lot. We hope you had a great time, and we'll see you soon.